One thing that I've been meaning to talk about for a while, but for some reason it continues to slip my mind, is this whole thing going on with the Street Profits. For the past few weeks, I guess the WWE has been teasing the split of this tag team. This seems to have been a talk in the company for some years now. This is really nothing new when it comes to the Street Profits. For whatever reason, there are people in the world that just do not want to see this tag team exist in the WWE. And there was even an article about an ex-WWE employee doing an interview or on a podcast pretty much saying that he felt as though Angelo Dawkins is holding back Montez Ford. And again, this is some of the things that's been said over the past few years, not even just recently. For some reason, I always had a problem with that. Call me crazy, but I think that's crazy talk. I always talk about on this show how the WWE loves to recycle storylines time and time again. The biggest storyline that's always recycled and used more times than we care to see is this whole thing about betrayal and having a team or a group that eventually decides to break up. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but in this storyline, as it pertains to the WWE, each time it's through a double cross or a backstab. And that's why I can't understand it. There are more ways than one to have a team or a group decide to go their separate ways. The interesting thing about people wanting to see the Street Profits break up is the fact that why does Angelo Dawkins have to be away from the team for Montez Ford to succeed? If you ask me, this is a perfect time to try something a little bit different. Montez Ford can still get a push as a singles competitor. And if he's good enough to make it happen, one day maybe he will be a world champion. Why not have Angelo Dawkins that'll have his back the entire time? I don't know what people have been seeing from Angelo Dawkins, but every time that I tune in, I've been seeing growth. I've been seeing potential from Dawkins. It even takes me back to WrestleMania 39 when I seen Angelo Dawkins floor Braun Strowman's big ass. And that's something that's just not easily accomplished by any man walking around in the WWE. Braun Strowman is almost 450 pounds. Maybe that weight has changed here and there, but overall, we're essentially talking about a 400-pound man. That's impressive if you ask me, considering that there's not a lot of other athletes in the WWE that could even pull something like that off. Those are just small glimpses of the things that I've seen from Angelo Dawkins to show that he can be an enforcer to Montez Ford. Again, why do we have to be so lazy when it comes to crafting these storylines where we automatically assume that a tag team has to split up for one of the two guys to succeed as a singles competitor? I'm a fan of the Four Horsemen, and the last time I checked, Arn Anderson has always had Ric Flair's back, whether Arn Anderson has been in a tag team or not. That's been one of the rare times in professional wrestling that we've seen true loyalty time and time again. And we've seen Ric Flair be the World Heavyweight Champion more times than any other wrestler, up until recently with John Cena. So just think about that. The only time in professional wrestling where a true star has had a loyal enforcer, has had a true best friend to have his back no matter what the situation was. That person was Ric Flair, and he was the most decorated champion in professional wrestling. So let's bring it back to Montez Ford. What harm does that do to have Angelo Dawkins continue to be an ally to Montez Ford? If anything, that will make Montez's Ford singles push even stronger if you ask me. Because now he's not forced to just have to reinvent everything on his own. There's still some type of similarity to what Montez Ford has already been doing. And that brings comfort to the character. There's been times where the WWE has let Montez Ford go out as a singles competitor. So they've already shown that they don't know what to do with Montez Ford. So forgive me if I'm feeling like this could be a potential sabotage to the Street Profits, because you're already essentially giving up on the tag team. So ain't no telling where Angelo Dawkins is even gonna land if they decide to go this direction, because clearly the WWE is showing that they have no real confidence in Dawkins. And then this is also putting the pressure on Montez Ford, because I'm pretty sure the WWE will guilt that man into believing that they put every type of reliable resource behind the singles push. But if you're getting rid of the only guy that could truly be his enforcer, it's almost like you're setting him up to fail from the very beginning. If we just take a look at the WWE landscape, what type of storyline are you even going to have for Montez Ford? Is this going to be another situation where he's going to be feuding with his ex-tag team partner for half of the year? Because guess what, WWE? We don't want to see that happen, especially not me. We don't want to see Montez Ford versus Angelo Dawkins. And that's the weird thing about this company, because in teasing the split of this tag team, that's essentially what we're getting. We're looking at a potential feud between Dawkins and Montez Ford. And I don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. If you don't think Angelo Dawkins is good enough to be in a tag team with Montez Ford, what good would that do to have him go against Ford in a feud where you're essentially gonna bury Dawkins? Because let's just be real, that's what's gonna happen. And I feel bad for Angelo Dawkins, because he's shown me time and time again that there's real potential there. One of the 1,000 times that the Street Profits has changed their character, it was one interview or a backstage promo where I thought Angelo Dawkins carried that promo. And that wasn't the first time. So not only inside of the ring have I seen growth from Angelo Dawkins, but even when it comes to promos and interviews. I don't know what all of this silliness is about when it comes to black wrestlers and the way that they're presented in the WWE, but if we drop all the and get super serious, I could almost guarantee that Dawkins can make a name for himself. I've seen where he's come from in the NXT circuit. I saw how pretty much nobody believed in Angelo Dawkins. So even the fact that he's a part of the Street Profits, a team that's still on TV, despite all of the many setbacks that they've endured, we gotta go ahead and keep everything into context. You have to give Angelo Dawkins a lot of credit. I'm pretty sure this is not the first time he's heard this behind the scenes or even to his face, that Montez Ford would be better off without him. And again, I just don't agree with that. I don't feel like we've even seen the best of the Street Profits. So again, what type of special storyline is the WWE putting together for Montez Ford on a solo run? We need to see that the WWE could actually make the Street Profits stars before they start splitting up anybody. So once again, I almost feel like this is a sabotage to both guys. I just don't see how the WWE have all of these huge plans for Montez Ford, because just in a second, we're gonna talk about the Usos. So I wanna save a lot of that conversation for the next topic, but I guess I have to sprinkle some of it in this conversation. Until they've been teasing Jey Uso being the heel, they've almost wasted everything that Jey Uso has accomplished as a solo competitor. I don't care that he won the World Heavyweight Championship, because it almost feels like it wasn't a real run to begin with. It felt like it was just some type of an experiment and something just to please the fans momentarily. It was almost a wasted opportunity, even if Jey Uso won that World Heavyweight Championship. This is a guy that's been in the WWE for over a decade and mastered the tag team division. And now we're talking about the Street Profits, who haven't had such a long career just yet, and they damn sure haven't mastered the tag team division. So how am I supposed to be confident that the WWE is gonna make Montez Ford this big star when they continue to drop the ball with Jey Uso? So long story short, short story long, I just don't agree with the WWE considering breaking up the Street Profits. This company really needs to figure out how to make tag team stars. That's the first step. And then we can start figuring out ways to insert these type of storylines where the group has to break up for some reason unknown to man. It's crazy to me that the WWE is so caught up in their ways and their system that there's no real room for improvement. And if you really believe in Montez Ford, I don't think that there's any reason to push Angelo Dawkins off to the side. Angelo Dawkins could be a vital part in Montez Ford rising through the ranks. And then this scenario could turn into a whole different story. Angelo Dawkins could turn into an entirely different character. And he could elevate his game significantly. Because what if Angelo Dawkins served as a manager as well as an enforcer? It's just time to switch this shit up a little bit. And I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with trying that when we've seen every other experiment fail. Just like the Street Profits wearing Star Wars costumes down to the ring for the last premium live event. Y'all already experimenting with the Let's experiment with something real and something solid that could potentially turn into a Hall of Fame career.